Hey guys, welcome back to another special episode of Push the Point, where I have got with me two really special guests that I've managed to hang out with at the UK Calling. We've got Jason, Rolfe, and Alex, the UK national champion. Oh god, I almost had it. Chitu. Is that it? Yes! Boo! No reminders. No reminders. Me and Alex actually did a video 2 weeks ago to talk about Visceral, and well, it went down pretty quick because new cards showed up for Visceral, and anyway, so I thought, well, let's get everyone back and let's talk about some bright lights.
Well, we did predict that there would be a very banger Visceral card, right? In that video.
But were we right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
TBD.
To be determined, yeah. Anyway, so what we're going to do is talk about the expansion card, just to kind of just go through this in a way and see if you like our thoughts, try some deck ideas out and go from there. First and foremost, guys, I'll start with you, Alex, and then move to you, Jason. What is your thoughts on just this bright light set now that we've got, I think pretty much all the cards have now been shown, right? What's your thoughts about the set in general?
Yeah, so from my perspective, this set is going to be important for me, specifically because I'm probably not going to be playing Runeblade anymore after...
Whoa, wait, whoa, hang on a minute, right?
Whoa.
Right? That's surely not allowed, right? If you don't know, Alex is probably one of the best Runeblade players in the country. He seems to rock up and get into a top 8 somewhere, right? Even bringing Visceral to ice metas when he has no business to, and seems to still top 8 at Battle Harden. Bro, why are you leaving the Runeblade Brotherhood?
It pains me to do so, but I've been... Well, I haven't, to be fair, I haven't actually played with the new Runeblades in this meta, but from my perspective, I don't think it matters much. I would rather be wrong about it and then find out very happily from someone else that I was wrong and Runeblade is actually great. There's still many ways to play it different than we thought before, and I'll be happy with that. But currently I'm gonna try to put my effort into something else and see how it goes. I'm sure other people will get much further than me in deck building, theory crafting, and we'll find out soon enough.
No, I'm with you, bro. I mean, I took Icelander to the last Nationals, and there was a point where I played a hell of a lot of Visceral. And you know what, to be honest, I think you actually become better players when you actually do move along, find something new, play completely different classes altogether, can just genuinely make you a much better player. And you actually rock back up to your original heroes that you enjoy to play. And I don't know, I think you just look at it a little bit differently. So that's cool. What about you, Jason? Bright lights.
I think it's good. I think the CC heroes for CC, I think at least 2 of them could actually have a meta share. I don't know, it's still very early days, but just kind of playing with them a little bit. There's some funky things that happen, some quite strong interactions.
Mm-hmm.
So CC wise, yeah, I think it could be definitely meta, especially with Lexi probably leaving. I think the draft, because draft is my favorite format, so I think the draft side of things is going to look really good. I think for a few reasons. I think the fact that they're doing a sealed call-in at the next at the Worlds event in a month or so is got to be that they're confident that the set is very strong in the limited side. Otherwise, I don't think they would do that point blank. And I like also a good point to say that a lot of people have had kind of concerns and stuff previously in drafts where they would draft baubles or they'll get cut too hard in a pack. But I think this set is insane because you literally can't draft a non-playable card. Doesn't matter what hero you're playing. So there's no such thing as a cracked bauble. So I'm really excited for the limited side of things. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff happening, and also like there's so much janky stuff going on. Like with, I would say janky, but like the Evos, for example, all the little interactions and niche interactions there is to learn. I think there's going to be like a very high ceiling on the limited side of things, and also the CC is going to have a big kind of change up. So I'm really excited, really excited.
Yeah, no, I agree, man, and especially with the Worlds announcement with the sealed, that not having cracked baubles and feeling like you've got a full complete deck is really good. I'm intrigued though because I think it would just come down pretty much down to the card quality of the packs, right? You know, it's whether or not when you're drafting, you can pick any card, right? And it will go in your deck. But just like there are in other drafts, there's generics, right, that are just yellow. You're like, I mean, I'll put it in, but I'm not happy, right? Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't add to the deck strength, but you can play it, right? And I feel that's what it's going to be like in this set. That's my gut, like, initial reaction of all of it, that it's all down to the card quality that's coming around. But then again, this is completely, out there when it comes to all the other sets they've done. We've never had a full-on dedicated class set before. I hope this actually works out really, really well. My opinion on draft when it comes to Flesh and Blood is it's not the highest point, I think, because of the nature of classes and everything and how they work. When you're trying to share that out, like, we just went for a Monarch draft set and is kind of okay. But when I'm hearing about other games, I don't know, let's say Magic, right, that everything can be shared, it feels like, okay, well, nothing's kind of dead, right? You can make some really fun interactions because everything's so flexible. But this is very, one road. So it's got to work, But in this instance, it feels maybe that's like that. This is what an entirely flexible set might look like, because there is only one class, so we can ignore all those limitations and just go nuts, right?
Yeah, I think to add as well, I think also the fact that in the sealed sense of things, that it's gone from 6 to 4 packs, that's huge.
Yeah.
That shows, they've got confidence that they would have internally tested that, and they've got confidence that 4 packs is enough to, make a deck and have some competitive games. So I think that's huge, and also the crack, shuffle, and play.
The Rice Krispie format, I call it.
Yeah, I'm interested. I want to see how that develops, because I've just, I obviously I go to the shops quite a bit, and there's been a lot of buzz about that. A lot of people have been talking about that, so I'm interested to see how that pans out and how how big that format could actually be.
Yeah, wouldn't it be really cool, right? I sort of coined it in like a Keyforge sort of vibe to it, where you might just go to the shops and go, what do you want to do? Just buy 3 packs. Just have a jam. Cool. Like, if you just bought a pack of Keyforge and, I'll buy a pack of Keyforge and let's just have a game, yeah? I don't have no idea what this deck does. I don't know what any of these cards do. Let's just bam, shuffle it in, and let's just jam a game out. And then you might, like Keyforge, certain decks are like, what the hell is this? This is trash. Right, but whatever. Who cares? You just bought 3 packs. Let's just play a game with it, yeah? I think that's really cool.
I mean, it's so easy, even compared to sealed. Like in sealed, you still have to kind of pick out cards and stuff. This is literally, you just get 3 packs, put them together, and start playing. I mean, there's like no barrier to entry in doing that. So,
yeah, I think that's the really exciting bit. All right, let's talk about the expansion cards, right? Because I think there's like, there's only a couple, right? And we can just go through, just kind of go over them a little bit, right? So I'm actually really, really surprised that we've got some legendaries in this set that are not really mechanologist at all. Like seeing a light warrior and an assassin legendary just rock up into the set it feels like a supplementary set. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna go with this model indefinitely from now on, because I kind of like it personally.
So do I.
Because they did say that they were expecting all future or almost all future sets to be draftable, and if that's the case, they're probably gonna have to go with something like this going forward, where they still support, because they're not gonna be able to put every single hero in a draftable set. So if they continue with this style, we'll be able to have good draft formats and at the same time get support for heroes. And especially like they can loop up the heroes that are having trouble in CC right now. So
yeah, I agree. I think that'd be really cool, especially if you just go, oh, what if we did this again with the Savage Lands and just went, right, here you go, here's 3 more brute heroes. I don't know. Maybe Mechanologist is just that weird one that you can sort of get away with it. I'm not sure. But I agree with you. Having something that is just totally more focused into a class sort of thing, and then sprinkling some really good, like, you know, some actual cards, maybe not wax off, but some actual cards that are like, this is impactful. This isn't just common crap. Do you know what I mean? That you just see in some sets. So you're like, well, no one's going to play this. So are you sure you've given me loads of new cards for Brute, but hell, I'm not playing it. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let's go through some of this stuff. So I'm going to just pinch through the legendaries here. We've got Shriek Razors. It's made, in my opinion, the chest, the chest I've never seen played before from outsiders. It might have made that a little bit useful. I don't know, because it costs 2 as an attack reaction to give an attack action card -1 armor. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is really interesting. It's kind of what I compare this to is the cat. So I can't remember the name of the
Breaking
gloves.
Scales.
Yes, the Breaking Scales +1, where it's like you may not want to use it, but just the threat of having that there makes you kind of second guess how you want to block this, because, you know, some of the punishes, some of the punishment that you can take, because obviously, especially like Katsu, Zuri is a very on-hit heavy hero. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm not sure how effective it's going to be, but I can see that threatening, because that's kind of what Azuri does, right? Like, she's always threatening, either, you know, switching out with an on hit or playing a reaction. It's all kind of mind games with her. So I do think that plays kind of into the flavor of mind game style. I do think 2 is a bit expensive, but yeah, I do see. I would be interested to see how this actually looks on the board and how threatening it actually is.
What about you, Alex?
Yeah, so the effect seems powerful, but as Jason says, the cost is real. And at the same time, you have to consider what you're competing with in Assassin. And currently what you're competing with is Flick Knives, which is a great equipment for Assassin and what Assassin is trying to do. And that equipment doesn't cost resources, it costs you your weapon. So it's also cost. But at the same time, I think that effect is quite powerful. And I would say a bit less conditional, because at the same time, the opponent does have to be blocking with an attack action card. Some heroes don't even have attack action cards.
Well, that's I think that's the glory of this equipment, right? Is, well, if you know they're not, don't, like as Assassin, you just don't put it in, right? But if you know that you're going to be dealing with someone with attack action cards, so I mean, what makes this really? It does say defending an assassin attack. I thought it just did it to anything. So I thought, Christ, CNC is now going to be a complete nightmare. But, you know, you could even just turn around and go, right, I don't have to do this Azuri trick. I could just go, here you go, play Shakedown. And you're going to, if you leave it, I'm just going to, you know, use my boots. There's my attack reaction. Shakedown works. Okay, or you block 6 and you have to go, right, well, I have to be very mindful and that I can't give them an attack reaction. Do you know what I mean? It's just, there's a lot of like, and I think the difference with this, with Flip Knives, like you said, it will work because of the daggers, but there is, 2 uses and it's done? Whereas Shriek Razors, it's got that weird, really cool text of the silvers, so we're back again, and we're back again, and we're probably back again, you know, and then that's also armor.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. If I remember correctly, Flick Knives, I think it's Blade Break.
Yeah.
This is Battle Worn. So if it's way better into the kind of control-y, more contract Azuri, where you're able to block, you can block, use attack reaction, and then get that use every single time. So even just even doing one piece of recursion on this is quite high value, I think.
Yeah, I think it's definitely actually up there with one of the strongest assassin legendaries, like equipments that they've got at the minute. You know, I think what makes it quite interesting is that, and I think this is what we're going to see in this entire set, is that we're not seeing crazy power level stuff anymore with cards. We're kind of just seeing relatively not good, not bad. You know what I mean? It's not broke. It's not rubbish. It's totally fine. It's like, and I think we're seeing a lot of cards that are just like this now, where yeah, it's totally fine. But moving on, Already Dead, really cool contract card. It's when you are contracted to banish an opponent's non-attack action cards whenever you complete this contract to make a silver token, very much a Arachne, and when this hits, banish the top card off their deck and a defending card, which is kind of terrifying, considering that you would just go, you're not going to use your equipment, are you? You can't risk this because I'll just destroy your equipment. And if it's in a non-attack action card you've put in there, I guess I just get rid of one of your defending cards, and that also counts because I have banished a non-attack action card. So do you know what I mean? It's attacking the defense. This is like that last little piece of the puzzle which you didn't think there was a puzzle, where they go, all right, give me a hand, give me a deck, give me your arsenal, and now it's like, right, well, give me one of the cards you're defending with, and give me silver for doing it. What's your thoughts?
I mean, personally, this card is just another. Azuri's a pain to play against, in my opinion, and I think it's just another one you have to think about. You're already thinking about, okay, they got a stealth card there. Is it Command and Conquer? Is it Surgical Extraction? Is it Shakedown? Is it Leave No Witnesses? There are so many there. Now you've got this. Now you're scared about blocking of equipment even more. You already had the Shred threat. I think it's a great card for Azuri players. I think both of these pieces will see play. I just think it's another great 6, and it fits to the contract as well. So it's going to be able to give you silver. I think it's a great card.
Yeah, I like this probably better in the contract style than just as per se the on-hit of banishing a defending card. It's true what you say about being able, like, another thing to think about. But usually if you're blocking with equipment against Uzuri, you're trying to cover. So like, let's say they're attacking you 3, presenting the threat of a potential 6 or something to that effect. You're probably going to be looking to block 6 in combination with your equipment to prevent all the other stuff that might hit anyway, right?
That's the thing about assassins, though. It just sometimes you just look at it and go, "There's not really much I can do right now, is there? No matter what I'm going to do, you're just going to shred it or something. You just got to accept fate at times."
Well, I think what Alex said is interesting because it's true. Like sometimes you'll default to blocking 6 if you need to, and I think that's just another sales pitch for the razors, the Shriek razors, because then you just get put down to 5. So it's actually interesting because I think these two cards go well together.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, it turns out there you go, in the same set, they work. They really thought about this. We won't. So just in context, everyone, when it comes to the actual heroes, we won't be breaking down every single card, just because these ones are very much a majestic, like deck defining, like a way to play the heroes. So this is probably why we're taking a bit of time with this. But I think the next 3, maybe 4 cards, I don't know, bro. Well, okay, smashing performance by Brute. I mean, Twitter went a little bit angry with this, and my personal feelings on this is it's fine. It's not crazy. It's a shame it doesn't block, but at the same time, you know, if you want to destroy equipment, you are looking for cards that, like, the 6 cost thing is quite an important factor for Brute. So being able to have an attack that can do a specific thing against items and be that 6 cost when you don't, I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's completely unplayable either. I think it just fits into that mold of, it's fine, right? It's fine.
Personally, I think this is a great card. And I don't know why people think it's bad, because what this card reminds me of is something I learned when I was deck building for my Briar deck for calling and nationals. I was thinking what sort of deck card to put into Lexi to make the Lexi matchup better. And one potential card was Talisman of Warfare.
Oh, and man of my heart, man. That card's cool.
And another potential card was Infectious Host, right?
Yeah.
What I've learned is that it's always good for your tech cards, for your hate cards, to not just do the thing that they're hating, as in the case of Talisman of Warfare, all it does is it blows up the arsenal. It doesn't do anything else than that, right? Whereas Infectious Host, it is a great card for your normal game plan.
Yeah, because
which just so happens to also have this line of text that further helps you, right?
Yeah.
So that means that not only is it playable into other heroes, but at the same time, even into the hero that you're trying to target, it's better of a hate card because sometimes, one, they don't have the thing you're trying to hate. So Lexi sometimes doesn't have an arsenal. It's rare, but it happens. And then you just have a card that does nothing, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Infectious Host is always a 0 for 4, at least at the base level. It's the same thing with Smashing Performance. The base level, it's a 3 for 6, discard a card. You want to do that in both brutes. You want to discard cards. You want to push damage. It's 3 for 6 is not a great rate, but it's an okay rate, right? And then you also, on top of that, get the amazing effect of destroying a random item, which is great if you are targeting a hero like Dash, for example.
Yeah, and it's a yellow as well. So again, when it comes to that time when you need to do a Blood Rush Bellow turn, you're not sad when you draw a yellow. If you drew this up and on a Blood Rush Bellow turn,
exactly.
If it's red, you're like, yeah, but this one is like, oh, right, cool. At least I can pitch and swing.
It's a 6. And it's so a 6. It works for like discarding as well. So it's not bad in that. So compare it with, because what you want to compare it in terms of hit cards is the one where you roll a die and you destroy that many items or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's it.
Is that Arc Smash?
Arc Smash, yeah.
Arc Smash, right?
Yeah, but Alex, it blocks for 3.
Yeah, but Arc Smash, like, it blocks for 3, that's fine, but it doesn't advance your game plan, right? Your game plan isn't to like block 3 all the time.
Yours
is to like.
It's that damage. Comparison I like. It's like what was it? What was that item you said you were going to put in? The War Tune or the relic? I don't know. What was it called? Talisman of Warfare. Arc Smash, and that's what it feels like, doesn't it? The Arc Smash and the Talisman of Warfare they're doing their thing, but that's all they're doing. It doesn't advance your game plan in any other way. It just goes, cool, I destroy items. But it depends really, again, it depends on that matchup. If Dash, for whatever reason, was just this tier 0 deck, maybe put them both in, it's not a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? But I like your analogy of, why would you just not run this? Because if they just whip down a random E-pot or whatever, or the Dromai has a gold token or something, you're like, come in for it. You're like, well, okay. What's your thoughts, Jason?
Yeah, no, I think what Alex said was a very good point. I think it makes sense because you need the tech piece, and if it's the best tech piece available, then it's the card you're going to run. But I think for sure this card, as a hate card, is obviously the value is going to be determined on how good the new mechs are. For example, like the new mech Dash.io who just plays the items. If that hero has like a good meta share, then obviously this card's amazing. You'll have to play it as a brute. So I think it's just a pure hate card. I don't think you run it over any of the other 6s that actually have effects. But like Alex said, if the mechs do come up, or the people that use items, or if, like you said, the gold token with the Crown of Dominion, if that does become relevant, then this is your best friend as a brute. So yeah, I think really though what you're saying about the Twitter outrage, I think that's just still that's
Twitter.
I think they the Twitter outrage. I think they got outraged because they've been asking for blue 6s forever. LSS says they're not going to get a blue 6. I think this was yellow. I think heated them up, the fact that it was yellow and not. I think if it was red, they wouldn't be so upset because it was yellow so close to blue. It just like kind of.
They'll never do it, right?
I mean, it's so strong. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, they'll never do it just to keep everyone raging. All right, Tectonic Rift. Create Excitement Surge tokens, go again.
I mean, because I played Bravo, and that's discard made me salty when it was revealed. Because I'm not sure. I guess maybe you look at it as like maybe it's a Valor piece. I'm not too sure, but and the only Guardian you can play right now in CC is Bravo. So maybe for the future, but right now I don't think this sees play. I mean, it's a bad rate even if you play with blues. I've heard a few arguments of like the setup Bravo, like when you kind of play one of those setup cards where your next Guardian attack, like Embolden, for example, then you come in with this and create a huge turn. But I think the main issue I have with this, the main gripe I have with this card, and this is I've got a bit of trivia for you here. This card blocks for 2, and it's a Guardian card. That's
terrible.
That's the second ever card printed in Flesh and Blood. That's a Guardian card that blocks for 2. The other one is a Elemental Guardian card for Oldhim. I can't remember what it's called. It's like some kind of frost card. But this is literally the second ever card. So I mean, the card's a bit of a joke in terms of playability. I don't know. Maybe it's a flavorable card. I have no idea. But the card is very weak.
Yeah, I was
like, why is it blocked for 2? Why is it blocked? It doesn't make no sense. Why would you make this card block for 2? It just makes no sense. So,
no, I no idea. Yeah. Is there anything you would like to add to this, Alex? Is there some sort of UK nationals winning idea you've got with paying X for making site? It's like basically it's like going, I tell you what, I'm going to put these 3 resources for next term. I'm not going to do much, but I'm going to make 3X. I'm just going to put these resources for next turn. That's it.
Oh, like Valda and Blitz. I don't know what do you want to do.
I don't even know if Valda wants to play this.
It doesn't even. I know. No. I'm. So that's about it. Wax Off, man. Something that I genuinely I think is worse than the Tectonic Rift. I mean, they had to print it, and they had to print it one day, and there it is. If you've played Wax On this turn, you create a Zensate token. So not only do you need this one-off copy of Wax Off in your hand, you also need the other one, and the other one, doesn't it only work on a specific thing? And then you've got to then play this, and then you've got a Zensate token, and then you've probably lost because you've put this in your deck. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I mean, if we're looking at this competitively, I don't know. I don't really play too much Ninja, if I'm going to be honest. But I think just looking at the rate, just looking at it from a general rate perspective, like I think this is just a flavor card, and someone likes Karate Kid, because I don't see how you play this card in any kind of like, list that's aiming to be competitive.
No, it's just flavor. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, just the fact that we've seen like blues in Ninja, it's not a high bar. They'll play just combo blues that block 3, do nothing basically. But it doesn't block 3, right?
No.
So you need something better, especially because it's a defense reaction, and comboing it with Wax On, that card didn't see play before, and I don't think this card will make it see play basically.
Yeah, no, I agree.
As a 3 of.
All right. A Dorinthia's, well, it's not Dorinthia's, it's a Warrior Action Emboldened Blade. It's got Dorinthia on it, though, so I assume it's her card. Right. Turn a face-down card in any arsenal face-up. If it's a defense reaction, destroy it, and your next weapon attack gets +1. Now, this card could do exactly nothing. Exactly nothing. Or crazy. It could be crazy. But it blocks for 3, so that's good. So, and it's a blue, that's also good. I don't think it's. I don't know. I don't know if I like it or not. I think it's actually this incredibly next level Dorinthia player that will just go, I can read that you've got a defense reaction in your arsenal. I can just tell, and now I'll play this and completely blow you out, right? I don't know if this is terrible or not, because if like I said, this card could do exactly nothing. What's your thoughts, Alex?
I think this is a great card.
Oh.
I wouldn't be surprised if it basically is an auto-include in Dory, because one thing with these types of effects, one, it's a blue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got go again. The bar isn't super high for blues that block 3, right?
Mm.
But another thing you have to consider is you actually during a game of Flesh and Blood can get a lot of information that you don't think about. Not just like soul reading or whatever, like, but also like through what your opponent does can reveal a lot
Yeah.
what they have. Sometimes just 100% reveal, like just so, like I don't know, like Dromite, they play a Ravenous Rabble, reveal the top card of their deck, and then they draw the next card in the next hand. You play something, they keep one card in their hand, they put it in their arsenal. You know what the card is because you haven't seen it. You saw it revealed the previous turn, and it was a D-React. And now you know 100% sure that you can destroy it, right?
Mm.
So situations like that. And if you're not sure, or you're not sure enough, you can just use it as a blue or block with it, right? So it just has very good modality.
Yeah,
is exactly what you want from a blue. Has the potential to be insane, but when it's not, you still get the blue block 3.
Yeah, fair enough. Anything to add to that, Jason?
Yeah, I think kind of like what Alex said, I'll just to kind of add to that a little bit and recap. I do think the fact that it's a free block blue means it will see play. And, just if you get, you're not normally going to be actually playing the card, you'll be using it to either block or pitch. And then on that situation where you have like a very, either the 100% or very, nearly a sure thing that you have it, then obviously you're going to play it. But I think what I find interesting about this card, that even if you're not running this card, I think the fact that it exists is good for Doi players because it's going to make you second guess if you want to put that in there because the punish is crazy. Like you get it's basically most D-Reacts are obviously like, Sync Belows and Fate for Scenes are going to be normally 0 for 4s and then it comes to 5. So you actually hit it, you're getting like 5 value out of it.
Mad.
So I think I think that's really good. But yeah, I think the fact that it exists is interesting because before there's nothing like that. I mean, like you had Command and Conquer, which threatens the arsenal, but this is like if you have it in your arsenal, there's no way to counterplay it. So I do like that. I like that kind of Uzuri poker vibe where it exists. Do I have it? Are you gonna arsenal with D-React? So yeah, I think it's a good card. I like the card as well.
Yeah, no, I actually the more I'm hearing about this, I agree. It's defense reactions is Dory's greatest nightmare, and she actually now has a card that can go, look, if you put this in the wrong spot. Like, my greatest weakness is just turned into my greatest asset. If you've just decided you're going to slap that immovable in Arsenal, oh no, or staunch response or something, and you just go blow that up because that's where you want to put it, don't you? You want to put that defense reaction in Arsenal against Dorinthia. You don't really want to play that defense reaction out of hand because she's like, cool. If you play that out of hand, I don't get my Warrior's Valor turn. But whatever, man. I don't think you're actually coming back with anything decent either, But you slap that in Arsenal, you're like, all right, well, let's check. No, cool, right? Yeah, I agree. Actually, I think this is actually just after hearing these thoughts, it's in tune to what she wants. Intoxicating Shot, Riptide Specialization. When this hits, make the opponent stronger with Quickens and Courage tokens. To which then, I remember talking to you, Alex, about this, and I was like, yeah, no, bro, you've got defense reactions now. They're all online. And then you went, yeah, I can't wait to play my Command and Conquer for 7 go again.
That sounds horrific.
It was like that. Ugh. Okay. Guess that's pretty doomed. But I think the Riptide players will still play this, right? Because as much as this card is doing is this good? Is it bad? You could definitely pin some arguments of why this is a very bad card on certain specific scenarios. But it definitely falls in line to what Riptide is trying to do. It's trying to make these trap effects work. And this card certainly does make those trap effects work. There's nothing you can do about it. You will have go again, no matter what. You will get a +1, no matter what. So these traps are online. And it's a blue bot through at least. So, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we have one person that's a Riptide fanatic in our team, and they didn't even like it because
what?
Because actually, like when you build Riptide optimally, you're not actually focusing on traps that much. What you're trying to do is really buff a attack a lot of times, or like go wider with the fact that you can play some buff and then put something in your arsenal with the ability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, they said that Riptide doesn't even really play blues at all, other than the traps. So the fact that it's a blue isn't like that huge of a help. Personally, I don't even know because I don't think I've never played against a Riptide in CC in my life.
This feels like reverse swing big. You know when swing big goes, if you block this all up, you get a quicken token, and it's like you don't, do you? I mean, you can't. Sometimes you do. And this one's like, look, bro, I mean, just let me hit you with this buffed attack. You get a bit stronger if you do. And you're like, well, I don't really want that either. But a 0 for 4 blue. Do you know what I mean? It feels weird because even if you said you don't slap those traps in, having a buffed attack version of this is, well, I should really block all this, but I will get better if I do, but I also come with negatives as well. I don't know. I find this
one thing it's got going for it is the fact that, not necessarily the fact that you can take advantage of the fact that you are giving beneficial effects to your opponent, but the fact that you can stack this card with cards that give detrimental effects, such as...
That's what I mean. That's what I was saying, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah. And then it's like your opponent has to think, like, am I taking this or not, right? In which case, like, the fact that then only the power matters, which is pretty good power for how much?
Yeah, 0 for 4.
For the fact that it's a blue, right?
Yeah.
So it's a good card, I think, but it's a good card in Riptide. And Riptide needs an insane card to be even remotely playable.
Well, is there anything to add, Jason?
Yeah, I was talking about this previously when this got revealed, because I think this is one of the earlier reveals on the set, and someone said something interesting to me, and I kind of agree, but at the same time, maybe it was a bit too much. But the fact that it's blue is very strange to me, because if you're trying to fire, this is 0 for 4 of downside. Now, if this was red in the same value, then I think it would be insane, and it would be really good for Riptide. But I just don't, like Alex said, the problem with this card is I think it's kind of mediocre at best, and Riptide needs a lot of heat right now to get him up and running, I think. So yeah, I think it's more of a flavor card in my opinion. I think it's just very flavorable in terms of what he's thematic, and it's what I would call too cute. Like when I say too cute, it's just too much. Like it's trying to do this thing where you hit them and then you use your traps, which sounds really cool and stuff, but when you actually look at it from a values perspective, it's just a bit awkward.
Yeah, but I think that's the flaw, right? Like when we were just saying, when you buff it with a blood rot shot or something, you know. Yeah. So now it's like a 0 for 7. If this hits, you get some buffs, but if you do, you also get blood rot parks. And your buffs, are they buffs? If you're making me be able to fire my things better now, so are they really buffs? Well, yeah, if you play C&C for 7 go again, yeah, that's definitely really good. But, you know, it's like the one card. And maybe this is a piece of the puzzle that will come later. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, they put something that makes you go, how many conditions have you got? Ideal damage. So even if you give them...
Oh, yeah.
You got loads of conditions, bam, get rid of all the conditions, positive and negative, and deal 1 damage or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I can see that for sure. If a card like that existed, what you just said is spot on. This card would be so much better. If there's a card like that. Yeah.
Well, let's. We're talking about cards that don't exist, but let's talk about ones that do. Let's talk about the Visceral specialization, Sonata Phantasmia, the card that literally got me so excited when I thought one of the X's was a 3, like quite a lot of people. And then we found out
we did as well.
Yeah, X3. Oh, okay, cool, bro. So pitch 6. Discuss some cards. It's probably a bit broke, and now it's turned into what it should be is this card lives in an arsenal and wait until you have 4 blues in hand to fire off its full effect. But it's blue block 3. Now, Alex, you're the Visceral guy. Although I've already spoke to you about it, I already know your thoughts about it. But tell everybody, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I also got baited by the compression on Discord, thinking it's X3 instead of XX.
Yeah.
So I was quite excited for about 30 minutes.
I know, we were like, oh, we're back, baby, we're back. And then, are you sure? No, we're not back, baby, we're not back.
With the current effect, yes, it's obvious. You need either ways to gain resources, which you're probably not gonna have, or 4 blues in hand in your arsenal to activate the special effect, other than create extra enchant tokens. How good is the card if you're not activating the extra effect? Not great, but it's a blue. So we can think about the types of Viscerai that existed before this set. I mean, the favorable way to play Viscerai before this set was to just go aggro, and in that version of the deck, blues were quite contested in the sense that you wanted your blues to give go again to your attacks if possible, or be an attack that costs 2, so that you can swing past. Or the only card that wasn't like that, usually in the deck that was a blue, was the Veximalis, and it's still a great card because it closed games. Like, would I put a card like this in that deck? Probably not.
No.
Because but the thing is, there was another deck that kind of existed, but wasn't probably not as good as the aggressive version, which was the version that wanted to stack rune chants and play a bunch of defense reactions and just kill you with a huge amount of rune chants, or playing Looming Doom to kill you. And that worked into some heroes. Most heroes didn't work because it was too slow. To other heroes that were vulnerable to D-reacts, it was a good strategy. That sort of deck, definitely you would want to play Sonata Phantasmia. And that sort of deck might actually be the way to play this right now, because we don't have Rosetta anymore. So this card might actually be an auto-include in the modern Viscerai decks that we'll see after Rosetta. But whether or not those decks will be good, I'm skeptical, even with this card. I don't think this card will make the deck. No. It will definitely assist the deck, but if the deck wasn't good before, this card won't make it good.
So what we're saying is we've got to unban Skeletor and ban Sonata, and then we found a reason to make this card crazy, yeah. Maybe broke. Yeah. Jason, any summarizing thoughts?
Yes, I was just saying what Alex said. Really, I mean, it goes into like a more fatiguey list, or even like a one-turn Keely, just a control list, I guess. But it's kind of, I'm very skeptical as well if that's going to work. But on the offside, that doesn't on the off chance that doesn't happen, you just touched on it. And what I was going to say is, with Bloodchief Skeletor, what I actually think this possibly is, it's for the Live a Legend format, because they're starting to push along with that, and this card with Skeletor is very, very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's kind of what my thoughts are.
Yeah, no, completely agree. So, man, I tell you what, we could really go in depth with these new cards.
Oh, one last thing before we move.
Yeah.
One thing that this card's got going for it, that besides anything we've seen so far, is the fact that it's technically unconditional discard, which we have not seen in this game.
That's
pretty sure so far.
Well, there is, the condition is make 6 rune chants, right? Or if 6 is
be able to pay for it, yeah.
Yeah, that's the condition. Just to go,
your opponent, once you accomplish this, the opponent cannot do anything to prevent it. Whereas I don't think there are any cards like that in the game, other than this. Which means this card might be useful in some sort of fatigue strategy, but we'll have to see if that's like something that's viable.
Yeah. Cool. It's a cool tool though. The tool is good. We just need to finish the parts to make the tool work. Which, currently 4 blues in this in Arsenal, and no blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So contest of Minefield. All heroes get -1 intellect at the start of your turn. Destroy this. artwork and my brain feel very similar when it comes to this. I'm like, is this good? I don't know. it's very wizard, isn't it? Is this good or not? I think this is all right in Icelander. I think it's a shame it blocks for 2 though.
Yeah, so this card doesn't seem great on rate. So the way that you use this card, obviously, in both the wizards, you can play this on your opponent's turn, and then you're not getting
3.
you're not getting the drawback, but your opponent is getting the drawback.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is you're spending 2 cards to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Technically 2 cards, 1 and 2/3 cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it blocks 2. So that's the disadvantages of this card. Usually in your wizards, you want your 2 block cards to be quite powerful because you're giving away quite a lot, because in wizards you actually kind of want to block well because you want the game to go a bit longer to make use of your cards well. One thing that this card could be useful for is getting around fatigue strategies, because it reduces the amount of cards your opponent has for the next turn, and you spending a bit more than opponent doesn't matter if your goal is not necessarily to get a better rate than them, but to be able to push damage, which you wouldn't have been able to previously.
I think so. I think it's just the fact that, like you said, just because the opponent straight away just has 3 cards to start their turn with, it's incredibly not ideal against a wizard. Like, you just having less cards, and then when they start up again, like, I play this on your turn. You at the end of the turn, you draw up. You've only got to 3. My turn.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do much, but I draw back up to 4. But now I'm going to be playing stuff on your turn, and you now have less cards.
Yeah. The only thing with the fatigue strategy is if you're trying to prevent a fatigue strategy, you can accomplish the same thing by just damaging them or trying to damage them on their turn, because if they're trying to fatigue you, they will get rid of their cards to prevent the damage. So you're going to really accomplish the same thing, except probably with a better rate than this card.
Jason?
Yeah, I think you guys kind of touched about it. I was going to say, I think the value, even though it's bad on rate, where I see the value in this card, just playing against like Icelander, for example, is in an Icelander matchup where it's more slow, more grindy. Because as you said, if you take a card out of the opponent's hand, them trying to press your life total, and that play pattern that Icelander has, where she blocks with a bunch of cards and plays and then arsenals and so on, so on. It's I think it's very effective in that strategy to keep the damage coming in low. So I don't know if it will see play. I can see where it can be strong, but like you said, it blocking 2 is a bit awkward. So I think it's definitely one of those cards that's going to be a lot more obvious once we actually see it played.
Yeah, I completely agree. So we've got Phantom Tidemore, a card where I truly believe all the illusionist players have now just gone into the tank to to work out how this is now their meta with this card, which it may be isn't, but it's certainly very interesting. Whenever an illusionist card you control is destroyed, put a +1 counter on this. It also has Phantasm, and it also has Ward 1, but it's a blue 0 cost instant, which is actually the instant part is where this card gets incredibly interesting incredibly quickly. And yeah, it's kind of really a really interesting, cool buff for the aura, illusionist aura decks, right? That you thought very much that they're done, and then they bring this out, and this is actually really good. It's just Ward 1 is its weakness, but, you know, that's probably what they're probably just testing the fields with this, right? You know, trying out, can these illusionist auras live on a bit better if they actually had Ward on it? I don't know. Jason, what's your thoughts of this minefield of a card?
I think it's an interesting card. I think, like, we just discovered actually by looking at the release notes, there may be a play pattern with this, but I do think, like you said, Ward 1 and Phantasm is just such huge drawbacks. But you have this situation where the play pattern I see with this, because to understand, I need to confirm this, but with the new Hyperdriver token cards, it says on the release notes in some kind of words that basically tokens are seen as cards. So with that being said, this should be able to see Spectral Shield pops. and get counters. So I can see a play line where you've built like a bunch of spectral shields up, and then you play this at instant speed when they're threatening those shields, and then you just get a bunch of tokens and you throw it back the next turn. That could be interesting, but I don't think it's a reliable play pattern because Ward is just like, as we've seen with the new Prism and the Angels with Ward 4, Ward is just it's like just so bad. It's so hard to keep these up because any kind of you have to block everything out fully, and Arcane is a nightmare. So I just think that having Phantasm in Ward 1 is too much for it to see play. I could be completely wrong on this, and there might be a strategy. This is definitely one of those ones where 6 months down the line, this is like the best card ever. But I just don't see it with Ward 1 and Phantasm. But I do think it's very interesting, the fact that it's instant. Like you said, you could hide it behind Spectral Shields.
Yeah, because I think that Ward 1 part can actually be mitigated because of the instant effect of when you can control that Ward 1 a lot easier, because you can sort of read what the attack is, read what's going to happen, and then choose when you want to execute this to sort of be that counter attack from losing a lot of illusionist cards, which is interesting, isn't it, when they say cards, because it also could eat up all the angels that are dying, and that's coming back to buff this up. You know, it's actually all these wards are buffing this thing up, and you've got agency on when that happens and when it doesn't happen.
Yeah, just to add to that, the more I think about it, it might be a line where it's like you're playing Iris, or you're even playing that new weapon where it's cost 2 and then you throw for 5, but doesn't have go again. It might be a situation where you just treat this as like let's say you come in and they're popping 2 or 3 spectral shields, and this comes in for 7 or 8, and it costs you 2 or 3. So it's just like almost throwing a wounded bull with Phantasm. It might be one of those situations where you're not supposed to have this around for a long time. It's just a one-off. But it's kind of just damage. But
it's interesting as well, because I think the actual Phantasm word is not a weakness, it's actually a buff, because there's actually quite a few cards and auras that hang around that go, hey, Phantasm's turned off. Hey, if this is a Phantasm card, it gets +2. You know, actually having Phantasm on the card is a buff.
That's true, but at the same sense, if they do pop it, let's say you have the PS Rally, unless you have the one that removes it, if it does get popped, you're still losing a lot of value. So it's interesting.
Yeah, interesting thinking about this card. So it says illusionist cards. There's a lot of illusionist cards that get destroyed randomly. So think about equipment. There's the hands that illusionist has. So that one gets destroyed, puts a counter, and then also creates a spectral shields token that gets destroyed, puts a counter. The only problem is you need these cards to get destroyed exactly, in the sense that they need to prevent exactly how much damage is dealt. Otherwise, you're losing them and this card when you play this card. So that's not going to be very efficient.
No, but at the same time, I think the question is, would you put this in? Like, I think the like everything, like most of everything in this game, like, would you put Revel and Runeblood in Visceral? Yeah, you would, right? But there's some conditions you must meet in order for Revel and Runeblood to become as good as what it is. Yeah, but would you put it in? Yes, of course I'll bloody put this in, because if it works, it's crazy, right? And I think this card is that other thing of going, well, look, is this timed well? No, but it's blue. Yeah, cool. So
blue, it doesn't block, which is a problem.
That's the problem. That's the worst bit. But it does block. That's for one.
It's true. It's not wrong. It's not wrong.
It does block for one. It could be that breaker card. You go, oh, okay, put him for one. You're like, no.
Actually, I think I like this card more against aggressive decks than against more controlling decks.
Yeah.
Well, more controlling decks, you will need to probably have a way to turn off the Phantasm on it.
The thing is, as well, it's really interesting is that there's haze bending as well, you know, because if you destroyed an aura, then you make another spectral shield token, and because this is as ward and an instant, if they come in and you go, boop, that's popped, haze bending triggers. Is that true? I don't know. Because if you destroy an aura, doesn't haze bending turn that aura into a spectral shield?
It does, yeah.
So you could just go, cool, block for one, and then it makes another one, which is almost like, you know, the gloves that the illusionists have. Yeah, it's it's wave of reality. So it's just basically a wave of reality in your hand that has.
Yeah.
I think this card, the more we're actually just breaking down its things.
It's an interesting card. It's got a lot of different ways you can look at it and play. I think.
I think it's actually really good. I think this is actually really good, and its downside is it doesn't block. But I think like all illusionists, you got to sort of come in with this with a bit of a big brain here, because this is what illusionists. It's a very complex heroes to play. It's attacky wizards in a sense that sort of operate on a different axis.
I like it against decks that are aggressive, that don't have poppers. I think it was worth trying it.
Yeah.
Because it might be a way for the new Prism to actually compete with the aggressive heroes, which she wasn't able to be before.
Yeah.
Scar may not do it, but it's worth trying.
Cool. Right. We'll get through the last ones, and then what I'm going to do is we'll probably have to review the. We talked about Bright Light Share. I mean, it's quite interesting how these expansion cards alone are really, they're really thought-provoking cards. Tome of the Imperial Flame, the best Emperor card ever printed. I mean, it doesn't do anything for, anyone else, surely, right? Surely. It doesn't do anything for Dromai, right? Come on, Now, I don't think this actually does anything for Fire, though. Am I right on that?
The problem with Fire is that he needs to run Master Momentum. It's just such a drawback to take that away and put on the Crown of Dominion.
Yeah, that's true. But Dromai, we were talking about this before we even hit record. Go on, Jason. Lay on me again. Tome of the Imperial Flame. Is this a auto-include for all Dromais?
I think so. I think this pretty much fades out the big dragon kind of archetype we're seeing. Just because it's the classic, it's got the classic makings of a great card because it cheats resources, and it just cheats in a way that is quite nasty. I think before I kind of break down the card, I will say that I think it's the best card of the set, and it's funny because it's a draconic card and it's not even a mech card. I don't know if I put it on Codex of Frailty level yet until we play with it a bit more. But it just seems to be these books, being a book makes the card really strong. I think the main reason why
all books are strong.
Yeah, reading books seems to be quite strong in Fab. But I think like what it allows. I mean, if you look at it's mainly obviously the Empress list because you need to have the Crown of Dominion, which is the kind of the red line list, which is more aggressive. I think the main reason why is it allows you to play Dominia and Tomotai in those lists. While before, obviously, if you're playing just red cards, you can't. Even if you Arsenal Tomotai, you're only ever going to have 4 resources in your hand. But you get you get certain lines. I mean, I can just to give an example of a line is with Crown of Dominion, you obviously get the access to the gold token as well, which is pay to draw a card. So let's say, for example, you had Tomotai and Arsenal, and you had 4 reds in your hand. And then you crack the gold. So you pay 2. You have no resources float, and you have 2 cards in pitch. You now have 3 cards in your hand. You then play the tome from your hand. You draw 2 more cards, and you pitch. The 2 cards go into pitch. I may have done this wrong. This might be a Dominion line, but basically what ends up happening is you end up with 3 or 4 cards in your pitch. You then have 2 cards left in your hand. Let's say it's Dominion in hand, Dominion Arsenal. Sorry. Then you have 2 cards. You have what you're left with here is 2 cards in hand, 2 resource floating, and 4 cards in your hand. You can then play like a mirror guy from hand, and then you can use it's the furnace interaction which breaks the card because you play. You're now playing the Flame Scale Furnace. You now have 4 cards in your pitch. So you're paying 1 resource to get 4 more resources. You can then use those 4 resources to play out a Dominion or a big dragon. But there are so many crazy little lines like that. Even if you don't have the big dragons, let's say, you can have what Tome allows you to do. You can have a 5-card hand. You can end up playing like 3 dragons on that turn. That is like 2 Yendorais and just a mirror guy. That's just backbreaking for so many decks to deal with. So you have, and then you could have like a turn end on the end. I mean, there's even a line that I heard of which was actually crazy, where it was like the player played 2 tomes in one turn with a 5-card hand, and I don't know the line off by heart, but it ended up with them playing Tomotai and Dominion in one turn. So I mean, if you're a Dromai player and you're hearing this stuff. Like, because as soon as I saw this card before I started playing with it, I knew it was really strong because of just when you play Dromai, what you want. because I didn't even mention the fact that when you do just the gold and the tome there, just cracking the gold and playing the tome gives you 4 ash.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and what used to be the drawbacks with Dromai is that you would have to kind of, even with the red line list, you would have to build ash to do these big turns, but it just kind of skips that and you go straight to just playing the big dragons and flooding the board. So yeah, I think it does everything that you want in Dromai. It puts the cards in pitch for Furnace. You get to draw and you get to choose which ones you pitch as well, so you keep the best cards to play, and it creates you loads of ash. So I just think this card is very, very strong. I need to play with it a bit more, but yeah, it's just wicked strong.
Is there anything you want to add to that, Alex, or has Jason done a very good job summarizing all of it?
Mostly, I haven't played with the card myself, but yeah, all that Jason is saying resonates basically.
Yeah.
You small drawback, doesn't block, but it's a resource card. Don't really want it. Turns on every part of Dromai that you want. It's a red that you play. It's a resource card. It's an ash generation card, and it doesn't dilute your red pool, so you still have reds in your deck. There's not much that is disadvantageous with this card. The only thing is it makes you play a crown that you were already thinking about playing in the style of Dromai. And yeah, it doesn't block. And yeah, it works best when you're keeping hands. So it's harder to use when you're blocking a little bit.
Yeah.
But you can just keep it around, wait for the right time, and then play it.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to add one more thing I just remembered, just to kind of really kind of explain what happened. I remember I was playing against a Dash.io and I was playing Dromai on Tabletop Simulator, just in a Discord of like 10 people, and we was playing this game. And I had played this tome, and it was a mediocre tome. It ended up being like a Rake, Ember, so 3 Ash Wings, a Mirror Guy, and a Dust Up on like turn 2. And they played a free boost turn into a max velocity. So I think they were like 28, and I got put down to 24 or something, or 20. And then someone said, "This is so broken. This player's just played max velocity and they're still behind." So that was just like the epitome of it. It's just, it kind of, it just does too much value. It just yeah, because we was talking about before, like you always have heroes like with Briar, Chalamant Heroic. You have like Viscerai with
Revel.
Not Revel, so what's the
Mordred.
other one? Mordred.
Yeah.
And then you had like Lexi with Rain Razors and 3 of a kind. And we always said that Dromai, although it has this interval value and has like the strongest cards in the game in terms of, you know, value per card, it never had a high roll. It never had like, you can take 15 and throw out Tomotai, but it never had that 20-25 damage turn. I think this is kind of like similar to a 3 of a kind, so you're kind of giving Dromai a high roll, and I think it's very dangerous because what happens is you have these huge turns where you throw these dragons, but the problem is they don't go away. The opponent has to deal with it, right? Like if you get hit with Mordred, okay, you get hit with 20, that's really bad. Now we go back again, but you have to now deal with those dragons, and it puts you behind in the game. So that's why I think the card is just a bit quite strong, you know, because of that. It's the permanent aspect of it, which is kind of concerning for me in terms of strength.
Feels like old Prism is back.
Yeah, a little bit.
So
yeah.
I think realistically, this card is very thematic in terms of like, you know, the Emperor is now dead in the set, and you know, I think they're probably deliberately just pushing Dromai now to just be this sort of endgame real good player, and they've done it in a very thematic way because the Emperor's died, and now she's kind of just searched through her stuff, and he's now found this card that's just amplified her power. Hey, am I saying this is a good thing for CC metas in a tournament? I mean, probably not, right? I'm just trying to say, if you're just looking at the way they like to design their cards and make it feel very flavorful, this feels very flavorful that she's now seemed to have picked up one of the strongest dudes in Volkor's book and has amplified her power through it. I completely agree with all of you guys on the summary of what this book is, and maybe this is just their way of going, you know, she is strong. They want her to be pretty strong. Her conversion rate is not that good. So here's a little bump. And let's see if this can push up the conversion rate a little bit more. And we'll see if this is too much or too little. And I think that's pretty much as simple as that. It's very strong. And then they decided to give Dust of the Chrome Caverns, which is, thematic. It's we're in metrics, and they decided to give Chromai a dust that cannot be popped. And is this crazy good? Is this not? I don't know. I mean, you can't pop Chromai if you have this. Yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts?
It's probably pretty insane. I mean, it's probably the best dust.
Because it's on the best dragon.
Yeah. It's in the dragon that you always wanted to play like that, where you make it not be able to be popped.
Yeah. So it will fulfill its role of I will now attack. It will now go again. It will now get an action point, and there is nothing you can do about it. You'll have to pop the next 2 dragons after this.
Yeah. So you don't have to pitch stack your Muraga. You don't have to put the aura that needs to get destroyed. Otherwise, you get this effect essentially on your Chromai. So it's basically just a better version of what you're trying to do into fatigue matchups, which is great.
Yeah.
Just makes it easier.
Okay. Jason, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, it's probably the best dust. Again, very good in the red line version because, getting over the fatigue matchups does require Chromai and getting the action point, and having that still around is really, really strong. So yeah, I think again, it's a very good card. I think, Dromas had quite a good time in this set, even though only receiving 2 cards.
Yeah, I know. We had Uprising and Dynasty. Turns out we need to be in metrics to make Dromai broken. So, Warband of Bologna, legendary Light Warrior equipment. We're on the last 2. Action, 2 resources. Destroy this. The next time you attack this turn, you may charge your hero soul. If it's a yellow card and charge, draw a card, go again. Has temper. I mean, I played a bit of Bolton, right? Does this make Bolton good? No. Straight up. It's not going to make Bolton really much any better, but I think it does align him with what he wants to do. And if you don't have a charge card, if you just have one of those turns where you're like, I guess I just don't really have the enabler to kick off and get a go again, I could just pitch 2 to break this and charge my card and just swing in for Raiden, and then let's go with Luminary Ascension, right? Without having to play a card, charge a card sort of deal. It's just that little level off sort of vibe that I feel like this is what this piece of equipment's doing, and it blocks for 2. And I think that's kind of it, really. It's summary. It's just building up on the piece of what Bolton's trying to achieve as a hero.
That's solid. Probably not to include because it blocks 3 at the base rate. So
yeah,
and then it gives you get out of jail free card. Not looking for much. I mean, look at Fatigue Bolton. They were already playing the skull cap, so it's just strictly better for that. For example, not much of a difference, but
no,
but it helps.
Yeah, it's if you got a dud hand, you don't. Simple as that. It's that card that stops a dud hand. Anything to add, Jason?
I don't know. That's really. I think you guys covered it very well. Like you said, Bolton's got other issues going on, but I do think it's a cool piece. I do think it goes well in his deck. It's just it's not gonna change his power level by much.
No. And then the last card, Slay, destroy target angel ally. I mean, all right.
Yeah.
Cool flavor.
Must have really thought angels were broken, huh?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I think that's I mean I've kind of just looking at some of the media that goes out from the devs and stuff. I think they anticipated Prism being a lot stronger than what she is right now in the meta and stuff. And the fact she's got 32 health obviously kind of indicates that as well. So I think it was a hate card anticipating that, but obviously because Prism's not really done anything, it just looks a bit funny now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, if she ever gets good, we're sorted.
Yeah.
Well, you're sorted if you're a shadow player for sure. But until then, okay.
Tekla wasn't Demi here should have been an angel.
Oh, wouldn't have been. Wouldn't that have been a thing? Wouldn't that have been a thing?
Angel.
Shadow Angel. Did. Right. And then we got Tunic. We all know Tunic. I wasn't expecting to go through the expansion cards and having it be this deep, if that makes sense. I thought it would just be a bit of a touch over. And then actually, when it came into certain bits, it really actually got, it felt very much like an expansion set's worth of decent stuff to talk about. If in a limited set, that's kind of to the side. That just goes to show really how successful I feel these expansion slots are for the set.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that just to lean into that as well. I think going forward, because you guys said at the beginning of the video that they're going to make all the they're going to make most of the sets limited wherever they can possible. And I think these expansion slots are genius for supporting classes without impeding on the actual set and being able to draft properly. So I think the reason why we've spoken out for like 12 cards or 15 cards, whatever it is because the cards, because they've got a limited amount of expansion slots, they're going to hopefully make sure that they're going to be impactful cards. And I think that's kind of what's happened there. And hopefully that's what we see going forward, because I think it's very healthy for the game.
Yeah, I agree. Right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining and taking part in hearing our thoughts about the expansion slots for the Bright Light set. Hope you are all enjoying your pre-releases, and hope you're picking up a lot of these boxes, and catch you later. Thank you so much, Alex and Jason, for jumping on.
Appreciate it. Take care.
All right, Salma. See you later.